Last week, my friends and I went on a 3-day holiday to the city of Porto. Much to my surprise, one of my favorite parts of the trip was a visit to Cockburn Port Lodge. As someone who rarely drinks wine, I wasn't too eager to visit. But seeing as port is one of the most historic and famous wines in the world, we felt a trip to Porto would be somewhat incomplete without tasting and learning about their wine. So today, I'd like to share some of what I learned during my tour of the lodge. So port came into existence around the 17th century. Back then, wine was highly perishable and was very difficult to transport over long distances. This suddenly became a problem for the British when they went to war with France, and as a result, had to start importing wine all the way from Portugal. To prevent wine turning into vinegar during this long journey, the merchants had to add brandy to the wine. After a while, they discovered if the brandy was added halfway through the fermentation process, the result is actually a very sweet and tasty wine. Today, we call this wine port. All grapes used in port are grown along the Douro River in a region called the Douro Valley. The harvesting period in the Douro Valley is said to be extremely hectic. The grapes must be handpicked, squashed, and start the fermentation process all within the same day. On top of this, a lot of port producers still insist on stomping on the grapes by foot. They claim it provides the perfect amount of force that can crush the grapes without breaking their seeds, which would make the wine very bitter. After the grapes are squashed, they only need about 2 to 3 days of fermentation for half of the sugar to be turned into alcohol. At this point, brandy is then added in a ratio of 1 part brandy to 3 parts of wine. After this, the wine can now be transported to a region called Vila Nova de Gaia, which is a cooler region by the coast. Here, it is aged and bottled before being exported to countries around the world. There are 3 main types of port: ruby, tawny, and white. Ruby is aged for about 2 to 3 years in large oak vats. Because there is not much contact with the wood in these large vats, there isn't much oxidation, which means that the wine preserves a lot of its fruity flavors and its vibrant ruby color. Tawny, on the other hand, is aged for longer periods of time in small oak barrels. As a result, the wine is oxidized a lot more, which gives it a nutty flavor and its famous golden color. And finally, there is white port, which is made using white grapes. But unfortunately, I didn't get to taste any white port on my tour. The whole tour really gave me an appreciation for the amount of effort needed to go into a single bottle of port. Everyone from the pickers, the tasters, and the coopers, the people who make the oak barrels, as well as all the years of tradition and experience needed to make the best quality wine. Thank you for listening.